Hi all and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be going over the top 8 Atlantic City Open lists to show what new competitive innovations have come to Legion after the recent point changes and balance updates. I fully expect the comments to add to this discussion, but this is the start of helping me and a lot of new players understanding Legion, what exactly these points and balance changes have done. And thanks to the 5th Trooper for these lists, as they are the only source I could find them at. Specifically Austin Miller of the 5th Trooper, as he is, ironically enough, also the one who placed first here. Starting with number 8, we have John Lopez, who has a Republic list. It focuses on Anakin, a Pike Syndicate Capo, some Phase 1 clone troopers, and some Pike Syndicate foot soldiers to add in some activations for Republic list. He has some Phase 2 clone troopers with some mortars for some decent range, and an ARC Trooper strike team with Echo to have a more maneuverable yet not heavily point-costed unit. Anakin has Force Push and Saber Throw to give him access to the still amazing Force Push and some ranged attacks with Saber Throw. The offensive-defensive stance system also gives him access to Aim Token or Dodge Token generation every single turn, depending on what side the card is. The Phase 1 clones do have some upgrades. You have some anti-vehicle with the RP6 Trooper. They also have Recon Intel for some extra buffing there. Recon Intel lets him get a Scout 1 move. And he has 2 DC-15 Phase 1 troopers with clone medics for some nice healing and some consistent gunline action. The Pike Syndicate do have their Disruptor Soldiers, which also are decent anti-vehicle, and the Capo upgrade. I personally think this is a little redundant, but it also makes sense, as if the main Pike Syndicate Capo goes down, it still gives you access to that enhanced courage. In general, this does not feel too different from the normal Republic lists we saw before the point changes. So let's move on to number 7. Steve Dodd brought a Shadow Collective list, which is a very, very interesting Shadow Collective list I like a lot. He brought along Gar, some Black Sun Enforcers, some Pike Syndicate Foot Soldiers, and 4 souped-up Mandalorian Super Commandos. With Gar Saxon, he heavily souped him up with tons of upgrades. However, I personally think it would have been a little bit better to replace the rifle with the Flamer, because even though the rifle does give him more range, I've always had better luck consistently with the flame, even if it is a one-time use ability, as it does give Gar a very good one-up if something does get close enough to actually hurt him. The Black Sun Enforcers are fully kitted out with a Black Sun Vigo, Recon Intel for that extra move, some frag grenades to get in a little bit extra surging, and the Magdet Enforcer, which is probably good consistent anti-vehicle, especially for the price. He brought 2 unkitted out Pike Syndicate foot soldiers, which are to be expected, some good activation fillers that are just threatening enough where you don't want to ignore them. And then come the Mandalorian Super Commandos. All of them are running marksmen, shields, and rockets, making them a nice ranged threat that you cannot ignore. As with the shields, it takes a little bit to even get to them. Everything here, except the Pike Syndicate, have red saves and are surging, which is amazing. It is really hard to clear these off the field, and they deal a ton of damage. It is actually very similar to lists I was running before this tournament, so it's kind of nice to know that I'm thinking the same as a competitive player now. Now, this one actually has some command cards, and it looks like he just took all of Gar's and then all of the generics, which makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what you have to bring when it's only Gar as the commander. About what you expect for command cards with them. Number 6 is Graem Cull. I hope it's Graham and not Graham. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, if for whatever reason I somehow got on your recommended. He is bringing another Republic list, this one a little bit different. We have Yoda, 4 Phase 1 clones, 2 Wookiee warriors, and some ARC troopers. Yoda is absolutely fantastic in anything he's in, and right here with the Force Barrier, Force Push, and Jedi Mind Trick, he is something that's going to be really hard to get to and kill, and even if you do get shots in, Force Barrier is stopping you from doing anything terrible to him to begin with. The Phase 1 clones have a Z6, a clone medic on one, an RPS trooper on the other for some good anti-vehicle, Boyle as a buff, which is actually pretty good, especially working with Yoda and his Guardian capability, and then just some normal Phase 1 clones. For Wookiee warriors, you have them as Bowcaster, which are also actually kind of good anti-vehicle, and then they have offensive push and targeting scopes to enhance their shooting even more. For the ARC Trooper Strike team, you still have Echo and environmental gear as a way to kind of get over any possible issues terrain would have with maybe grabbing an objective and running. Once again, this is a nice, real solid Republic list. Again, not too different from what we were getting before. It's kind of sad that someone hasn't gone full ARC Trooper, but they're still a little overcosted. And as far as command cards go, it's what you'd expect bringing Yoda. You really only have one set of command cards you can take when you only have one named character leading. Next up, we have Sam Gould, who is also running a Republic list, this one taking more advantage of the ARC Troopers. We have a very similar build to Anakin as the number 8 placement. We have R2-D2 for that extra command point. We have 2 Phase 1 Troopers, one with an RP and one with an more closer range EP Trooper. Both have clone medics. Then you have some Phase 2 clones that have portable scanners, which is an interesting upgrade, but about what you'd expect, I guess. It does add in some dodge token generation, so there is a lot of use there. And then we have 2 units of ARC Troopers. One has Echo, one has 5s, which absolutely makes me love this list to begin with. And then the rest are packed up with upgrades that they're more easily able to take with that point drop. And then we also have a strike team with a DC 15 ARC Trooper, which makes it pretty good anti-lightsaber hero. Kind of drop it and run it where you need it to go. As far as command cards go, once again, it's about what you'd expect for an Anakin and R2-D2. You want to get all 3 of Anakin's in. Some of R2s are in there as well, though. Number 4 is Jonathan. I'm just going to say Jonathan. I don't want to horribly butcher that last name. I apologize. It is running a Blizzard Force and placing 4th. So this is the only Blizzard Force in the top 8. Nice, new, fresh, but the list is still good. Darth Vader is here as commander, which is much better than Op Vader. Imperial Officer is here, as always. We have some snow troopers, some heavy response units, and 4 speeder bikes. This is about what you used to see. However, his bidding power is now not insane. So it's solid, but it's not impervious like it used to be. There's not much more I can really say about Blizzard Force. I'm just still happy people are running it, because it is a good list. It was just crazy overpowered and just insane to go against and not fun to play against at all. Number 3 is Christopher Lewis, who is running just a nice, solid Empire gun line. He has an Imperial Officer for his leader, some Death Troopers, which are kind of nice to see. They're really fun to actually build and look at, so seeing them brought is amazing. We have some Scout Troopers, which are another good pick. Some Shore Troopers, which are another fun surprise, actually. A couple Stormtroopers with the Gunner upgrade. An E-Web team, which it's like a perfect gunline mix, honestly. And then we have 2 Imperial Dark Troopers with assault cannons. This is a very fun theory Empire list that I would make in Tabletop Admiral one day and go, I should try this, but I don't know. But Christopher really played it all the way to the top 3. It shows that any list is viable with Empire, and it shows how sometimes just bringing a nice Empire soup of all of their best stuff, when you play it well, is amazing, because there aren't a ton of upgrades on this list compared to others, but I can see how it performed so well. And it wouldn't just be heavily relying on the Dark Troopers either. Those E-Web teams and the Stormtroopers and the Death Troopers are all threatening. The Dark Troopers are just a nice little cherry on top. Next we have Raul Rosado. Raul Rosado. I'm keeping in all my takes of trying to pronounce these people's names because I think it's kind of funny. We have Moff Gideon with some Stormtroopers, some Imperial Dark Troopers, and an Occupier tank. It's rare to see an Occupier tank, at least in my local group, and seeing it hit a top 2 makes me actually very impressed. However, this is another nice, simple Empire list. Moff, 3 Stormtroopers, and 2 heavily souped up Dark Troopers. It's the meta. It is the current Empire meta. The Dark Troopers are insane. They are really hard to go against if you don't have really good anti-armor built in, and a lot of the top lists do have really good anti-armor built in, but not all of them. The Occupier tank as well is good, and with most of the focus being on the Dark Troopers, it can get a lot done, especially with the upgrades he put on it. In general, this is another really good Empire list, but it's also not overpowered anymore, especially with the changes made to Dark Troopers. They are literally half of his army, and it's just 2 units. So if you can get rid of everything else and just let those 2 units go wild, points-wise, you might still be able to win. It's why he didn't get first place. And first place we have Austin Miller. He brought a very interesting CIS list. with Ventress, Bane, a T-Series tactical droid, an IG-100 Magna Guard, and a lot of battle droids. A lot of his heavy work appears to be done by his named characters. Asajj and Bane are both heavily upgraded in almost half of his army. However, the Magna Guards are not to be looked down on, and with some anti-vehicle in there, it's absolutely amazing. The tactical droid helps get orders to everything, and with the battle droids being able to spread orders around, he's taking best of both worlds with CIS. This is a very simple list that most people could run, but I don't think most people could run it up to number 1. It's something that's just solid. It doesn't perfectly excel in any way except activation control. With proper positioning, you can have orders face up on all these guys almost every single turn, especially with the T-Series tactical droid in there as well to help spread out that order giving. All in all, this is a good meta for Legion so far. With one of the first major tournaments post point changes behind us now, I love this new future for the competitive scene. It is amazing seeing the variation in list building. Republic list building hasn't changed the most, but CIS with some of the new units tossed in, well, we only saw one list with the Asajj, but still, that's good, and they got point drops in a lot of other things. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more of those up there as well. But seeing a Shadow Collective up there that doesn't rely on Black Suns or Pike spam is amazing, and shows me that the love the Mandos got was needed and well-deserved. I am a little sad the Rebels are nowhere to be seen, and I'm hoping this isn't more of a losing streak indication. I am really optimistic for the future of Legion, and I hope all of you are as well, as the competitive scene is seemingly kind of balanced right now, but we'll probably see some other way in which something needs to be changed to balance it better. But for right now, I am very optimistic about the future of Star Wars Legion. I hope all of you enjoyed this video today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy the time you have. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe.